Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this lightning talk on universal acceptance and IDN World Report. My name is Regina Fuchsová. I work for the .eu registry, and together with Esteve Sanz from the European Commission, we will try our best to put this topic in the European context and also provide you with some exclusive insights in the freshly published IDN World Report 2025. Before we dive into the world of IDNs and universal acceptance, let me just shortly put us in the place where we speak about in the context of internet infrastructure. You can see an example of a web address leading to also quite freshly published report on the digital decade by European Commission. And if we start from the right-hand side, you can see .eu, which we refer to as top-level domain, and to the left-hand side, Europa. This Europa is referred to as second-level domain. Together, europa.eu is what we commonly refer to as a domain name. And this is also something what EURID, as the CCTLD registry, registers. The top-level domain doesn't need to have only 2 letters. We have .org, .net, or maybe you saw around a booth with, for example, .post, one of the new GTLDs. To have it a bit more complicated even, this domain name doesn't need to be in ASCII codes only. It can have special characters, such as this O in Lillestrøm, or it can be in a completely different script, Chinese, Arabic, or if we speak about the official European Union languages, Cyrillic or Greek. Another example you can see on the slide is a favorite salty snack, solety, .eu in a Bulgarian language. This solety.eu in Cyrillic is referred to as Unicode version of the domain name. But for the DNS system to process it, it has to be transferred via so-called Punicode to ASCII characters, and you can see that it starts with XN and 2 dashes. This will be important for then some of the findings of the report later on. In any case, IDNs are necessary for multilingual internet. The concept of universal acceptance goes a bit further. It says that all domain names and also email addresses should be treated equally and used by all internet-enabled applications, devices, and systems, regardless of the script or characters. The point is that users around the world should be able to navigate the internet entirely in their local language. It has a big relevance to IGF and the VSIS. For example, on Tuesday in one of the sessions, it was among the 2 most voted VSIS-related initiatives. Universal acceptance included internet infrastructure as for the initiatives which need more support. It's considered as the way how to attract the next billion of internet users, and throughout this week, you might have repeatedly heard in the sessions the words like linguistic accessibility, digital inclusion, part of the concept that nobody is left behind, both in internet governance and usage of the internet, and it has also a strong link to sustainable development goals. Do you remember this lady from our Monday opening ceremony at the town hall? Just to illustrate that multilingualism has a face, we enjoyed a very beautiful song sung in a Sami language. It's very important for Norway because the most of the Sami population lives in Norway. It's actually the only indigenous peoples in the EU. And I bet that you would agree with me that even though enjoying songs in English is a very nice experience, it would be a big pity not to be able to enjoy the one which we heard on Monday. And since the offline and online world are more and more interconnected, then it's just a logical thing to try our best as much as the technical equipment allows us to preserve the cultural heritage also in the online world. Now I would like to give the floor to Esteve to tell us how this concept is in line with the European digital priorities.
Thank you so much, Regina. Thank you so much for hosting this lightning talk. I'm really looking forward to hear more about the report, which is I don't know about yet, so that will be a premiere for me as well. The EU DNA, really, our identity is based on multilingualism. Our motto is United in Diversity. We have 24 official languages in the EU. There are many more languages, and this multilingual priority of the EU carries, of course, into the digital realm. EU policy and funding strongly support online multilingualism in many different aspects, in universal acceptance, but also in other regulations that I will talk about in a minute. And we require, of course, that all official EU content in every language, official language of the EU, and the capacity for everyone intervening in the policy process to exercise that right in that language. So this is the DNA, really, of the EU, multilingualism, and we are very proud to also support universal acceptance as a core value. As Regina was explaining, universal acceptance means all domain names and email addresses work everywhere online, whether in Latin, Greek, Cyrillic, or any script. This is crucial for Europe, where scripts at accented characters vary, so that French accents, Greek or Cyrillic languages work as smoothly as example.com. Today, 68% of domain registries say universal acceptance is the top factor for boosting multilingual domains. We need every app, browser, and form to accept all EU languages. Most European domains technically support IDNs. 88% of European CCTLDs, according to the latest statistics, can register names with local characters. Yet uptake is low. User awareness of universal acceptance is normally what we are told is the limiting factor that it's blocking that, and that's why we're happy to have the lightning talk to address that awareness. There are interesting successful stories in the multilingual internet space in the EU. I'm from Catalonia, a region of Spain, and Catalan has built an extremely strong online presence. There is a dedicated .cat domain with 100,000 sites, and today 66% of websites in Catalonia have a Catalan version, up to only 39% in 2002. We have successful examples in Irish Gaelic, which went from limited to use in the EU to a full EU language, and then this also boosts its online presence. There is a lot of coordination with member states. Many countries are championing their language online, whether Spain supporting co-official languages like Catalan and Basque, or Baltic countries developing AI for the language, for their languages. The EU complements this funding. For example, we have the European Language Data Space, but also injects in the new rules that we have this multilingualist element. It's not well known, but the Digital Services Act, actually, which is our flagship when it comes to digital regulation, has several provisions that incentivize platforms to actually promote linguistic diversity. So, you know, situations, the policies are there, the political intentions are there. We need to bridge that gap. This is extremely important for the EU. It's also extremely important, if I have to say, for things that we normally don't think about. So we've engage a lot with Global South players these days in the IGF, as we constantly do. And we heard one very interesting idea that I just wanted to put to you. We're very worried about internet shutdowns, that, despite all these commitments, they continue to be on the race. And very intelligent people that know the local characteristics of countries that do those shutdowns, they tell us that if the internet was in our local language, we would not see a shutdown, because people would really feel the internet as themselves, and politicians could not perform that shutdown. I thought that was a very powerful idea. So
it's a very interesting aspect. Thank you. Maybe we can consider it for the future to have a look in the study in this aspect. It actually hasn't come to our mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Esteve, for your explanation. In the remaining time, I would like to show you the findings of the report. Just briefly, why URIT cares at all and who we are. I mentioned that we are running .eu top-level domain. We already since 2005 by the appointment of the European Commission, and from the very beginning we are committed to provide our support in all official EU languages. Throughout the years we have introduced first IDNs under .eu, then also the Cyrillic version of the top-level domain, and then also the Greek version. In total we account for 3.7 million of registrations, and about 1% out of them are IDNs. This might seem really low, 1%, but it's actually in line with what other CCTLDs are experiencing. Also taking into account the technical and other issues, the uptake is not as it could be. And it's a part of our strategy to bring European values to open, safe, and inclusive internet. So this well corresponds together. The IDN World Report, already has a history since 2011, when we started it that time in a PDF printed form together with UNESCO and other partners. We have got more partners over the years. The aim is to enhance the linguistic diversity through advocacy of internationalized domain names and their usage. This report, which is now in the form of a website, you can see on the right-hand side, idnworldreport.eu, brings news, registration trends, also information on technical readiness, and also we have added quite recently a kind of sentiment analysis. The outcomes of 2025 report can be on a very high level grouped in three main topics. One is that many TLDs are experiencing flat or even negative growth trends. Second, IDN market is highly concentrated, so to say, in hands of few TLDs. And third, there are still challenges in user awareness and adoption. Some illustration of this, and I have to say at the beginning that the study has its limitation by the number of TLDs which provide us with the data. So this is also a call for action. Whoever from you can address in your communities people and organizations dealing with IDNs, please direct us to our study. We always welcome more contributions and information. So based on the data set, we had over 400 TLDs. There is an estimated 4.4 million of IDNs worldwide, and roughly 70% are under country code TLDs. The growth is indeed negative, almost -1%, the yearly growth for CCTLDs, and even 5.5% for GTLDs. The top 10 TLDs, which is in line with the concentration I mentioned, account for over 3.3 million of domain names, so 75% more or less of all the IDNs. And the top 5 IDNs are in the Cyrillic version of Russian top-level domain, .com, .de, and the 4th and 5th place belongs to Chinese registrations. We are also following technical aspects of IDN implementation and found out that over half of the registries do not support Unicode addresses in their mail servers at all. Unicode was with soleti.au in the Cyrillic script, so the form which is readable for humans. 3/4 of the registries do not permit these Unicode symbols as contact emails in their registry database. And actually, none of the CCTLDs stated that they would offer support to email. EIA stands for email addresses in international form, so it means that they have this Unicode quotation also in the email addresses, also before the @ And last piece of information in these slides refers to the display of IDNs in this form of Unicode and also the Punicode XN-dash quotation I was mentioning. When it comes to WHOIS services, when the registries display both versions in 67% of cases, and slightly lower rates are for registry databases display and user interfaces display. So only on this information you can already see why the uptake is not as it could be, because it's if you cannot use the domain name and the connected email address in all the services you are used to, not only connected to registration, but also to the services by big platforms, for example, then it makes less sense. And then also the users who otherwise cannot access internet because of the language barriers are disadvantaged. We also asked how the CCTLDs or TLDs in general, which answered the survey, see the main barriers to adoption. And we identified 3 main fields. One are technical issues, the compatibility with browser and email services. Second, low public awareness, and also the habit to use ASCII, like English, is so rooted with the users that it's very difficult to overcome this. One of the case studies we have on our IDN World Report website refers to the introduction of top-level domain in Hebrew. And even though it was extremely also politically important for the country to introduce this, they reported back that it was extremely difficult to bring to the users that there is this possibility and that it can work in the domains in Hebrew. And the third barrier identified is also a modest level of promotion, both from registries and registrars, which is actually quite understandable with the registries. It's a bit better because they have, especially CCTLDs, in their DNA embedded support to local communities. But for registrars who are commercial companies, if there is not a business case, it's difficult for them to find the resources for the support. This is to illustrate what you can find in the report. We have listed all the results, so you can see that indeed the awareness, the majority voted for low awareness. Then also one of the sentiment questions was how organizations promote IDN. The most voted for marketing and also presence in events. These complete answers are there for all the questions we have asked. Shortly to the sources and methodology. For CCTLD data, we are cooperating, apart from the form, with Center and other regional organizations in Asia, Latin America, also Africa. And we also take the GTLD data from Mark Datisgeld and also from Zuknik. The mechanism or the season is that in January, the research team circulates 2 forms. One is about the IDN implementation in technical terms, and one is the sentiment survey. And then it's complemented with the data, registration data available via the regional registries organizations. And then also, as much as it is possible, the research team follows up with TLDs to get a better understanding for the data. As our time is almost expired and I still would like to give a space, if there is some question, I will just refer you to also the recent articles and case studies in the website, including our colleagues from .cat, which have a very interesting way to promote, and they put a lot of effort there. And also, I think the presentation will be available in the with the recording of the session, so some useful links. There is a lot of information on ICANN website. There is also a recently formed CODI group. There were some changes in the Universal Acceptance Steering Group at ICANN. So you can have a look for further information. So I would like to finish with a call for action. If you have your IDN story from your country, please share it with us. We will be happy to publish it. Also, if you will be able to reach out so that we can address more TLDs, that would be very helpful. So thank you very much for your attention. And if you have a question to Esteve or to me, we still have space to answer it. Yes? I think, can I ask you? Thank you.
Okay, Tapani Tarvainen from Electronic Frontier Finland, and also a non-commercial stakeholder group in ICANN. Have you been following the use of IDN top-level domains and ICANN's policies in that regard? You mentioned Sami, and in particular there's a policy going on that looks like that the Sami letter eng will be much less usable than some other special characters because nobody out there cares, basically. So that these very small minority languages and their characters would need someone to speak for them.
It's a very good point, because there are also languages which cannot be put in written form, of course, and still deserves preservation. But since you mentioned Sami, actually, I was in a session. It was in Tampere, so 2 years ago, Sandra can help me with Eurodic in Tampere 2 years ago, and there was a session, and there was a young lady researcher who did research for the Sami language. It was herself, I think not a mother tongue, but her family's mother tongue, and there was obviously some movement of young people to preserve the language and raise awareness. So even though it will not become widely spread, I think especially via the young people, and if they are interested in preserving this heritage online, we I can speak for the technical community, I think are obliged just to do our part of the work to enable this. But otherwise, you are right, some languages are even difficult to bring over to written form. So the content, actually, it starts and finishes with the content, of course, available. Do we have the mic already switched off?
Okay, just to follow up. Sami does not have a problem of not being able to write it. It just uses a bunch of special characters, and these are not well supported. That was the point.
But it's a technical thing, right?
Yes,
to include them in the next version of the IDNA variant, yeah, or yeah.
Okay, we can talk about it.
We had the last one, 2008, so high time to update. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Esteve, for your contribution. And please reach out to us. There is an email address. We will be happy to share and cooperate. Thank you.
For your information, a session will start on the open stage in 5 minutes.